Jai Gurudev, Day 11. Essential elements of Gayatri Sadhana. Importance of steadiness and concentration of mind in sadhana. A sadhak should remove all disturbing thoughts from his mind and perform sadhana with an unperturbed and quiet mind. He should have firm faith, confidence, and devotion and reverence. It can hardly be termed sadhana if the mouth utters the mantra, the hand works on the rosary, but the mind wanders wildly. The magnetic field to attract Gayatri cannot be created so long as the mind remains wavering and restless. The other obstacle in sadhana is lack of faith. Some people are naturally nature cynical and lack in deep depth of feelings. They have no real faith in spiritual pursuits. Words of praise from someone just arouse some casual curiosity in their mind. They think that by mere chanting a few mantras, their most coveted desires might be fulfilled. Some persons are even seen taking a vow to do prescribed jap after their desires have been fulfilled. Probably they assume that divine powers might be sitting hungry in the absence of their worship. This tendency of crude bargaining is ridiculous and reveals the shallowness of their faith. However, if a person who are lacking faith, devotion, and reverence, and those who have an unsteady mind perform Gayatri Sadhana regularly, they are able to overcome these defects, and in a course of time, their sadhana starts progressing smoothly. By and by, faith and confidence are built up, and they achieve concentration of mind. A person should therefore get started in sadhana, although his mind may be unsteady. A day will come when he will overcome his deficiencies and will receive Divine Mother's grace. He will then understand that faith and confidence, devotion and reverence have a mighty power with the help of which impossible looking tasks can be accomplished as done by Bhagirath. Essential rules to be observed by sadhaks. A person engaged in Gayatri Sadhana is required to observe the following rules. The body should be cleaned by taking a bath before sitting in sadhana. In the event of any disability, seasonal unfavorableness or illness, one can make do by washing hands and face or by taking a sponge bath with a wet cloth. One should wear few clothes as possible at the sadhana. If there is excessive cold, a blanket may be used instead of putting on tight clothes. The sadhak should find out an open, secluded place for sadhana where the atmosphere is calm and quiet. A field, garden, temple, or the bank of river or lake are best suited for this purpose. But if a place is not available, a clean, calm, and quiet portion of the house can be selected. It's better to put on newly washed clothes while doing sadhana. The sadhak should sit in a cross-legged position, comfortable, so that there may be no difficulty in sitting in that posture for a long time, and the mind is not distracted by sense of physical comfort. The backbone should be kept erect so that the spinal column remains straight and there is no obstruction in the flow of pran in Shushuma. One should not sit for sadhana on bare ground. The energy which is generated flows out into the earth if one sits on the ground. A mat prepared of kusha is best for this purpose. In the absence, one can sit on a cotton mat. Woolen leathern carpets are used only for tantric sadhana of Gayatri. Rosary of tulsi or sandalwood beads should be used. Rosaries of rudraksh, red sandalwood, and conch shells are used for tantric sadhana of Gayatri. Jap should be started 2 hours before sunrise. In the evening, it should be finished an hour after sunset. Only tantric sadhanas are performed around midnight. The non-tantric sadhanas should not be performed during the night. Special attention should be paid in sadhana to 4 matters. Firstly, the mind should not run hither and thither. If it does, it should be gently persuaded to meditate on the beautiful image of Mother. Secondly, there should be unflinching faith and belief in the Divine Mother. Persons with wavering faith cannot derive full advantage of sadhana. Thirdly, the sadhak should resolutely stick to sadhana. Lack of enthusiasm, dejection, ill health, delay in getting benefits immediately, and other worldly difficulties act as obstacles in sadhana, ignoring them. The sadhak keeps on advancing on his way. Fourthly, regularity or continuity is the essential element of sadhana. Howsoever busy one may be, and even while placed in adverse circumstances, Mother's worship should not be interrupted. Irregularity in this respect is harmful. Due compliance of these 4 rules makes the progress in sadhana smooth and sure. Jap of 1 rosary or 108 mantras should be performed daily. If more jap could be done, it is so much the better. Before starting the sadhana, some experienced righteous person should be made sadhana guru. It should be ascertained from the guru which type of sadhana is appropriate. A patient is not competent to diagnose and treat his own disease. He has to seek the help of some physician. Similarly, a sadhana guru is needed to suggest appropriate sadhana to rectify drawbacks and solve difficulties. The sadhak should sit facing east towards the sun in the morning and west in the evening. If one feels tired in one position, there is no harm in changing the posture. On being required to get up in between for answering the call of nature or for any urgent work, sadhana can be resumed after washing hands, face, etc. with pure water. In that event, jap of 1 addition rosary should be performed by way of penance for such an interruption. If on a day there is a break in sadhana for some unavoidable reason, additional jap should be performed the next day by way of compensation. Performance of jap rosary should be stopped during the period of impurity in the event of any death or birth in the family. Only mental jap can be done during this period. If such an emergency arises during Anushtan of 1.25 lakh, it should be discontinued during this period and resumed after the expiry of the period of impurity. Additional jap of 1000 mantras should be performed for purification in lieu of such an interruption. There is no necessity of taking bath during long journey or illness. In such event, mental jap can be performed during the journey or lying on bed during illness. The food and daily routine of a sadhak should be righteous, sattvic. In food, the sadhak should eat satoguni, simple, easily digestible, prepared food by some pious person. Chilies, excessive spices, pungent articles, fried dishes, sweets, stale foodstuff, etc., kept overnight, meat, intoxicants, food prepared from money earned through foul meals, and food offered disdainfully should be avoided as far as possible. It is desirable to observe brahmacharya, but it is specifically essential to observe during Gayatri Anushtan. It is also desirable for some specific disciplines during Anushtans. The sadhak should avoid getting hair of his head cut, although he can shave himself. He should sleep on hard wooden bed or ground and not on a cot. Footwear of leather should be avoided. Food, if possible, should be taken only once a day. Fruits and milk can be taken in the evening. Sadhak should do his own self-service. He should, as far as possible, allow his body and clothes not allowed to be touched by others. Sumero, the central big head of rosary, should not be crossed while doing jap. After completion of the rosary, every time the sumero should be touched on the eyes and forehead, and after reversing it, jap should be resumed till the sumero is reached again. Material of worship should be placed at such a place that they are not touched by others. There should be no slackiness in maintaining cleanliness of the places and articles of worship. Cleanliness of body and clothes is also essential. Jap is more useful if it is done in a fixed number at a fixed time and place. There is no harm in doing sadhana anywhere at whatever time with unsteady mind, but such symbolic worship is not as beneficial as one which is done with utmost sincerity and with observance of above mentioned guidelines. Gayatri sadhana is never harmful. There are specific rules and procedures of Gayatri mantra sadhana in general by which anushtans, purushcharans are performed. Ordinarily, any anushtan performed in violation of the prescribed procedure may result in harm instead of doing good. There are innumerable instances where the sadhak had to suffer on account of certain omissions in the sadhana. People have sometimes become insane. There are also instances narrated in the scripture and history about people suffering from illness, death, or loss of property due to such aberrations. As the story goes, Vratta and Indra had to suffer great calamity on account of wrong pronunciation of Ved mantras. It is but appropriate, like other Ved mantras, Gayatri mantra should also be pronounced correctly in a rhythm, and its sadhana should be performed in a prescribed manner so that it may bestow the desired results. Yet there is one speciality in Ved Mata Gayatri, that an aberration in Gayatri sadhana done through ignorance does not cause harm. Just as a compassionate, generous, wise mother always thinks of a child's welfare, so also Gayatri promotes the well-being of the sadhak. Children often commit mistakes and behave disrespectfully and rudely towards their mother. Even then, their mother does not entertain any malice, nor does she harm them. When worldly mothers are so kind and forgiving, more so is Vedmata Gayatri, who is mother of all the universe and is divine Ganga of righteousness. She is moved by faith and devotion of her devotees. Sadhak's aberration in performance of rituals of sadhana due to ignorance are washed away in the divine stream of mother's love and affection. Lord Krishna has assured in the Gita that no good action ever reacts adversely. A work done bona fide with good intention is bound to have good results. Righteous action, howsoever small it may be, safeguards a person against perils, fears, and apprehensions. Once Gayatri sadhana has been started, the mind is slowly and steadily attracted towards it, and for some reason it is given up by the sadhak. A keen desire to resume sadhana again repeatedly surges up in his mind. After tasting some delicious dish once, a person desires to savor it again and again. In the same way, spiritual food is as sweet as nectar, and it is so tasteful that the soul insists in, craves for, and cries repeatedly to get it. It never results in any distress, calamity, or hardship. It may be due to certain omissions or mistakes. One may not get the expected benefits, but there is not the least doubt that even a little sadhana does not go in vain. No discrimination in Gayatri sadhana. God has created all human beings. How can there be discrimination on grounds of caste, creed, color, or sex? All have equal claims on the objects created by God. The sun, moon, air, water are all being liberally used by everyone. No one has the right to cause obstruction or put a restriction in the free flow of these divine gifts. Gayatri mantra manifested through Brahma in the beginning of creation. Brahma interpreted it by 4 mouths in the form of 4 Vedas. This knowledge is for the benefit of all mankind. Persons of all caste, creed, and both sexes have equal right to adopt Gayatri mantra as means of their sadhana. Unfortunately, in the dark feudalistic era of Middle Ages, discrimination on the grounds of high and low, master and slave came in vogue. This discrimination created a gulf of high and low caste, and in mankind was divided into several hierarchical divisions, pronouncing women and Shudras as undeserving so that they may consider themselves to be inferior. Several such practices were initiated in which male members of high caste people enjoyed all the rights, while women, Shudras, and slaves were deprived of all of them. Thus was it claimed by feudal lords and priests that women and Shudras have no right to chant Gayatri mantra. Pandits interpolated some fake couplets here, and there is some scriptural text so that people may believe that discrimination on the grounds of caste, creed, sex was an ancient tradition duly approved by the Shastras. The present is, however, an era of enlightenment, of fundamental human rights, of equality for all. Women and the so-called Shudras are integral part and parcel of mind. They have been guaranteed equal rights in the Constitution. This is equally applicable in respect of Gayatri mantra. It uniformly belongs to all human race. Persons belonging to any country, caste, religion, or sex gladly adopt Gayatri mantra for sadhana and derive benefit from it. It must not be confined to Brahmins or Dvijas alone.